I first discovered Back to Hearth when I was a judge for Indie Cup Ukraine, and I've been that for the last couple of years. And it's a competition that Ukrainian developers can submit their demos and games into, and then they get awards if the judge panel like what they do. This game stood out to me because it reminded me of if Silent Hill wasn't a horror game, but you took the meditative, isolation-based, reflective melancholy of Silent Hill and placed it in an abandoned Ukrainian village, because that's what Back to Hearth is all about. A calamity has happened and you're going around fixing up properties to allow residents to return. And you do this like a walking simulator in the first person, wandering around, clicking on different objects, and some of them will be pick up a ball, such as a hammer or some pliers or a screwdriver or a hoe, and that then allows you to clean up the properties. Some things just require a single click to put right, others will require gestures, and they are tool dependent. So some will be more zigzaggy, some will be more curly-whirly, some will be like interesting geometrical shape patterns, but they're all quite simple and the game's quite forgiving to allow you to get it vaguely right before you then put the thing right and move on. Once each property is then completely restored, you can then light a fire to allow the resident to return. They'll tell you a short story about their life, and then you move on to the next property. Back to Hearth takes just around an hour to complete. It took me slightly longer, and that's because this is very much not quite a pixel hunt style game, but you need to have your awareness around you, because if you've missed a chair that's overturned or a shelf that's slightly out of place, you won't be able to move on until you've fixed absolutely everything, so you will have to keep going round and round until you work out what's missing. And whilst the game does highlight things as you go over them, you just might have missed something that's just slightly out of sight. The story itself is an interesting one with Back to Hearth, because I was looking for more story from the residents that returned back. Their stories are quite short, succinct, and over in just a few screens, and exchanges of dialogue, and I was hoping for a bit more depth in exploring a little bit more about Ukrainian rural life. Where that does then shine, though, is in the way how the houses are designed. A lot of the objects and air quote collectibles in this game are Ukrainian historical like ornaments or braids or tapestries or what's in the store cupboard pickled in certain jars. And so you'll be going around clicking on these and it will give you a little bit of insight into Ukrainian rural life about how families live in that type of environment. And that's where Back to Hearth's strength, particularly narratively and more educationally, to be fair, is. I just wanted a little bit more personal storytelling, I think, from Back to Hearth rather than environmental cue storytelling. Aside from that, I do think some players will find this perhaps a little bit too slow-paced and laborious for them, because it's all about environmental storytelling rather than having a narrative told for you. And because of the isolated environment that you're in and the low poly nature of it, this feels like a beefed up PS1, early PS2 title in terms of graphical design and even just how things work. This won't be for everyone, but if you like to sit in a space and just seep it in, a bit like the type of games like Gone Home, for example, where everything is for you in your mind to make up, then Back to Hearth might well be a good game for you. The game comes out on the 25th of September.